So far, we have seen different configurations of operations. We said how flow and variety, volume all influence complexity of operations management. Now we will move on to another important aspect of understanding operations, which is all about improving operations. Suppose we want to improve the operations and start making certain operational choices and changes in the system, which we always do. Let's take some examples. Say we added one more person or a machine, change the operating policy, or refine the supply management practice. So there are many such choices available. So the question that we need to answer is, how do we assess the impact of these choices that we make in operations? Also, we would like to know which aspects of business does it really affect and which of them are important. So in order to understand these aspects of choices, making a certain impact on performance of operations and so on, we will understand this in some detail by taking a couple of examples. Let's take an example of airlines industry world over, even in India, is going through a lot of competitive changes on account of policy reforms and so on. So let's look at this example here, which is to do with let's say Indigo Airlines. And suppose let's look at some of the capacity decisions. For instance, Indigo Airlines has on an average 96 employees per aircraft. Another airline might have more or have less. So the question is, what is the impact of this? One knows for sure that this will directly affect the cost in some ways. Look at another capacity choice. Indigo Airlines claims that they have 4 handlers who stack bags on hold. So again, we can understand that depending upon this number, another performance metric called responsiveness will be affected. If you put more, maybe it is more responsive. If you put fewer people, the responsiveness is of a particular kind. So these are ideas of how some of the capacity decisions actually influence the performance metrics. In this case, we took an example and showed how it affects cost and the responsiveness. We will take another set of examples which could be perhaps operational choices that Indigo may actually have to make. There are 3 examples here. Now in Indigo Airlines, they claim that the check-in staff doubles as baggage handlers also. So this is an operational policy. Given a certain capacity of people, we know that it has a bearing on responsiveness, because you make people more flexible. It also has a certain bearing on cost. Maybe with fewer people you are able to do more things. Another example, the ground crew takes 20 minutes to prepare the aircraft for the next flight. It is a certain operational choice that they have made, which very clearly indicates that it will improve their responsiveness, or it will have an impact on responsiveness. Look at this third aspect. Indigo planes fly about 12 hours per day. So what it means is the asset utilization is better. So this is what we call it something which can affect the cost, right? We also find that this check-in staff doubling as baggage handlers provides a certain kind of flexibility also to the system. So what we see here is some of the capacity choices, some of the operational choices can affect cost, responsiveness, flexibility, as some of the examples that we have taken. So we have seen 2 small examples. One, certain capacity choices, how it affects performance metrics like cost and responsiveness, and operational choices which can potentially affect cost, responsiveness and flexibility. So let's build this thought further and see what more we should think about in terms of these performance metrics. Now let's look at a comparison of two hypothetical manufacturers. Let's call them as manufacturer A and manufacturer B. Now manufacturer A has a production volume of 5 millions and manufacturer B has a production volume of 10 millions, which is the basic reference with which we may be able to compare. Let's assume very similar product, say automobile or a certain kind of a component which are very similar. Now, the number of employees for manufacturer A is 35,000 and the number of employees for manufacturer B is 120,000. So, taking these two together, we are able to now understand that both of them affect this parameter cost in very different ways. Your fewer employees, for a factor of 2 you are seeing a factor of 4, so therefore it will have a certain impact on the cost. Design to customer delivery, manufacturer A 27 months and manufacturer B 36 months, which can affect of course the flexibility. It can also affect delivery and the flexibility because how well they are able to respond. Number of models of that product being offered, manufacturer A has much higher, 45, which means he is better off in terms of flexibility compared to manufacturer B. Defects at the assembly line, 1400 parts per million, whereas manufacturer B has 8900. This has a bearing on quality, right? Inventory has a bearing on cost. As we all know, greater the investment in inventory, the greater is the cost. Order to delivery time directly affects both flexibility and delivery. So, what is really happening here is several choices that an operation system makes, which manifests in terms of some of the measures which we showed here, and all of them map onto certain metrics, certain performance measures which may be important for the customer. So that leads us to what are some of those important performance measures that customers would be keen to see, and let's find out what are those, because we need to choose out of them in terms of how do we improve the operations.